Okay, welcome back to the Caribou Media Outdoors podcast. With me this afternoon is Joe Coy from Fourth Arrow Camera Arms. Welcome.
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, this is great. I think it's only been emails and messages back and forth
Yeah,
between you and I, so it's
yeah,
nice to
yeah. It's fun to be able to
face
jump on and see you
face to
face to
face.
face. And
Yeah.
yeah, it feels like spring here in Michigan today. It's finally starting to turn a little bit.
Oh,
So
good.
it's been
Yeah.
pretty cold for a while. I've gotten most of the hockey and skiing I wanted for the year, and got some coyote hunting in the snow. So I'm
Oh,
I'm I'm
nice.
ready for spring, ready for some shed hunting. So
Yeah. We've had like an unbelievable amount of snow this year. I want to say it's the most I've ever seen in the last 10 years. Like it's just
oh
been
wow,
crazy, like just nonstop. And then I think today it's gotten a little bit warmer, so it's going to start to melt hopefully, but we'll see how it
there
goes.
you go.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay. So tell everybody who you are and what you do for Fourth Arrow Camera Arms.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So yeah, I've been with Fourth Arrow Cam Arms, I guess, since 2018. I don't know where the time has
Okay.
gone, but yes, and I do the marketing for Fourth Arrow. So I mean, do a lot from the video side to website development to just general marketing, social media, all of our marketing stuff. Also another fun thing that we kind of launched this last year. Um, on our own media side, I guess we have a couple different things going on. One of our shows is Michigan Whitetail Pursuit, which kind of focuses more on Michigan, where we're from. But this last year, we actually launched something new and fun. We launched Take Aim Adventures TV, which is actually on the Pursuit channel now. So
Okay.
for us, we're all filming our stuff anyway. So it's like, where
Cool.
can we put our stuff to be able to? We're filming it anyway. We're going to go on these hunts anyway. Where can we put it where we can share it with others? And plus it's another way where we can get the product out in front of people and they can see it used in person. So that's been a fun adventure. Also get you some excuses to try to work in a few more hunts in there too, which is always great
Yeah.
as well. So
I just got to test this one new thing. I just got to go out one more time. Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think I was turned on to you guys back in. So I started this whole Caribou Media Outdoors thing back in 2021. I wanted to film my hunts after shooting my first bear and never finding it.
Okay. Yep.
So I was like, I wish I had that. So then I started deep diving down the whole self-filming and solo hunting stuff and found a different company's camera arm that was a lot different than yours, just put it that way, and started with that one. And it was funny. At the time I was looking to purchase that one, other people were saying, you should look at Fourth Arrow. You should look at Fourth Arrow. But I was buying so many things. I just, for whatever reason, went with the other one. And then
Right.
like, I don't know, maybe a year or two later, I was looking at Fourth Arrow because there's so many different types and they do so many different things and there's so many different accessories that you can add to it and kind of customize it to really make it your own. It's not just one bar
Right.
camera. It's
Yep.
a whole multitude of things. And then wasn't until really I started saddle hunting this year that I noticed a huge difference because you could literally wrap yourself around the tree with that thing one way or the other and it was light and, so many different things. So how you've been with the company since 2018, you said, how long has Fourth Arrow been around then?
2016.
2016.
So
Okay.
yeah, so I was pretty early on. Before that, actually, I was actually working for a sister company starting in 2015. So I've kind of been around the group for quite a while, kind of since the early days. So it's been fun.
Oh, gee. Yeah.
Yep.
Um, so just before we get into all the different types and stuff, you're a bow hunter, right?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Yeah. So
Yep.
let's go through your. People always are curious to know what bow are you shooting?
Yeah. Yeah. Right now, I'm shooting the Matthews V3X. That was actually my first brand new bow that I ever purchased.
Yeah.
Prior to that, I had been running the Matthews Monster, which I had picked up from
Ooh.
one of the other guys here because he upgraded to a newer Matthews. So with the Monster, let's see here. I shot. Did I shoot any deer with that? I didn't have it for that long before I upgraded, but I did shoot my first bear in Saskatchewan with that.
Oh,
Um,
beauty.
and that was my first archery self-filmed kill. Was
Nice.
in Saskatchewan on the black bear, so that was a lot of fun. Prior to that, I actually was running. Kind of growing up, I ran my grandpa's Oneida bow, which
Oh, nice.
for for any of the guys that know what that is, it's a very unique bow. That I mean, it looks like a recurve, but
Yeah.
it's really a compound. And most guys nowadays just use it more for bow fishing.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
Super smooth draw, pretty good let off, but not the fastest bows in the world by any means, and they're not advisable to shoot sitting down, or else
Ah.
you can take your kneecap off because of the way the cans flip forward when you shoot. But no, I shot my first 3 archery bucks with that bow. I loved it. It was great. I still have it to this day, and it was really special for me to be able to use, the bow of my grandpa. Kind of when he couldn't use that bow anymore and switched to the crossbow, he gave it to me, and I
Oh,
was
that's
able to
awesome.
put my first 3 archery deer with it. So that was pretty cool.
That's so cool. Yeah. I always like hearing stories like that. Things getting passed on and still in use. Like a friend of mine has a 19, I think it's like a 1975 recurve that he got secondhand, and it has like etched into the limbs or like the kills that the previous owner had
Really?
used. And he's like, yeah,
That's
I just
cool.
almost want to use it one more time and then kind of retire it or something. And it's kind of
Yeah.
neat seeing things get passed along like that. That's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Yeah,
um
I was at my other grandpa actually gave me a bow that he shot when he was my age. He said he never killed a deer with it. He shot at a doe, but it ducked the arrow. But it's an old recurve that's all aluminum body, and it's the way it's designed. I don't know if I'd trust shooting it, so I probably won't shoot that one. But I wish I could, because it would be really cool to shoot deer with bows from both sets of grandpas. That would be
yeah,
awesome. But
that, that would be wicked. What kind of arrow setup are you running?
So this last year I actually switched over to Ultra arrows.
Okay.
Right now I don't have any um, extra weight. So I'm just running the arrow shaft as is with the standard inserts. They have 2 different type of inserts. One's more of an outsert. One's more of the standard. Well, one's more a little bit different collared outsert, which is kind of cool because you could like do different internal weight switches with it.
Right.
I haven't used that system. I ended up just because that system, if you shoot into a bag target, it can be a little bit trickier pulling them out
Mm-hmm.
because there's a collar that can catch. So I ended up using their standard other outserts that more stick out in front. Right now, I'm running their. Let's hear which size was that? It's basically essentially it's a 5 millimeter.
There's
Um,
166, and then they had
the,
the 246, I
I'm
think.
running the 204.
Oh,
So the
they came
20
out with a 204. Yeah, yeah.
They did. So they have the 166, the 204, and then the larger size. So yeah, I'm kind of running that middle of the road. Which before that I had been running Easton 5 millimeters, and I've kind of fell in love with that size.
Yeah, it's perfect. It's
It
a sweet
it
spot.
just seems like a good size for me. The super thin ones I haven't been as much of a fan of, but really that 204/5 millimeter size I've really enjoyed using.
Yeah, I find I don't have a lot of experience with the micros. So I usually do the 5 or the 6 millimeters, and I just got the new 5.0s from Easton, so
Okay. Yep.
they're working out really well. But the biggest thing I hear is components. People complain about the components
Oh, okay.
for smaller diameter arrows and
Right.
stuff.
Yeah,
And then what?
and like your lighted nocks have a higher chance of failing, that type of thing.
Yeah, and then what kind of broadheads were you using?
Yeah, this last year I actually shot my first year with Slick Tricks.
Oh yeah,
I So there's a story behind my archery book from last year. I actually ended up it was the second to last day of archery season in Michigan here, and I went out for a morning hunt before work, and I sat for a while, and then it was really slow, and I'm like, I'm just going to call it. Gun season's in 2 days. I'll get them then. I still was chasing one buck that I'd seen quite a few times, and he got within 60 yards of me a couple times. He actually got within 40 one time, but I didn't have any shooting lane. And then we had this other buck, we called him Tall Boy, super tall, really good mass on him. He almost touches in the front.
Whoa.
So anyway, I was getting down on the stand, walking back toward the truck, and walked through the middle of the property, and there's this pretty large bog in the center of the property, and the bog looks like it'd be something a moose would be hanging out in. It's that really thick, brushy stuff, and we had a really dry summer and fall this last year, so it was pretty dry. Normally there'd be water in there. So I'm walking by, and I bump this buck. It ended up being Tall Boy, and he was hot on a doe. He really didn't know what bumped him. Like, they kind of spooked a little bit, but they didn't go far. So I ended up spending the next hour and a half stalking him through the bog.
Oh, wow.
And I shot him at 25 yards from the ground.
No way. That's amazing.
It was the most insane experience. I couldn't believe it happened. I could not believe it happened. So anyway, I shot him first. First I had...
not very many people can say they've done that from the ground. That's great.
Yeah, right. I could not believe it happened. I've always dreamed of doing that. I couldn't believe when it happened, but I had the slick trick torches in my quiver first.
Okay.
But thankfully, I also had a fixed blade, because the thing is, I'm stalking through this thick stuff, and it's so thick and so high. Some parts, I'm like, even if I got within range of him, that brush is so thick. If he's not in the right spot, I might even not be able to get a shot. I'm like, I don't want to shoot a mechanical through this brush.
Yeah.
So I had one of the slick trick fixed blades in there as well. I had I believe it was the Magnum. I had a Magnum in there, and just one of my so thankfully I had that one. So I shot him with that, and ended up hitting him further back than I wanted. So I ended up finishing him off later with one of the torches, which is the mechanical one later. But
nice.
Anyway, it was a pretty wild experience.
That's awesome. That's really cool. Yeah. So going into the camera arms here, let's see here, pull it up here. So would you say that the baton arm is like the beginner or the entry level type camera
Yeah, for
arm?
sure. Yeah, I'd definitely say when it comes to our arms, which we the fun thing is now we kind of offer a large spectrum of products for whether you're more on the beginner side, or more mid-level or even pro-level filmer. The baton arm is really designed for that entry-level guy that, a lot of them are just using it with their cell phone. That's one of our most popular kits that we sell.
Yeah.
Is the baton arm with a video head and the phone mount. And that setup's rock solid. It's super easy to level. It compacts down really well. And for the price point, a lot of people, like I said, buy it as a whole package, and they get everything that they need to start filming. And like cell phones these days, if you're just archery hunting, cell phones work really well, as long as they're within 30 yards.
Yeah.
Even in 4K, you can zoom in and post. It's not as good a video that you could get versus a main camera, but overall, for a lot of guys, that's at least a great place to start.
Oh yeah, there's countless times, even this year, where I'd be hauling all this stuff up in my bag, and I'd get up there, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, it's great once it's all set up, but like, really, you don't need all that stuff. Like when the weather turned really bad here, like snow, blizzard, rain, all that stuff, I literally used the cell phone mount, and I had like an Osmo DJI action camera.
Yep.
And that's it. I left the $3,000 camera at home. I'm like, I don't want to screw this up in the weather.
Yep.
And really, that's all you really need. And it's it is nice having the different attachments available. So the one that I went with was the Talon Micro Triple Arm, which I must say shrinks down very, very small, right?
Yep.
And the base is always going to be the heaviest part for no matter what arm you use anywhere. But I did like the Talon attachment, because it really dug into the tree. So for those of you that don't know what it is, I'm going to show it here, but it's basically, it looks exactly what you would think. It's like an eagle talon that literally bites into the tree. It folds up so you don't jag yourself while you're carrying it around, but it goes right into the tree, and as you're tightening it down, it just gives you a really solid platform to go off of. And then, you know, the arms are coated with, it's just like not really a rubberized coating, but it's like a,
Yeah, so the arm itself is powder coat, but with that micro triple arm, the third section actually does have a rubberized
right,
coating on it. Yeah,
right.
which makes it really nice and quiet on that last section.
Mm-hmm. So it's got 3 arms that can give you a lot of leeway in and around the tree, and yeah, there's a saddle arm kit that looks similar, but are those arms all the same length for the?
Yes, yeah. As far as that goes, like the overall length between like the micro triple and the satellite, you're going to get a little bit more reach out of the arm itself is very similar.
Okay.
But what you're going to do with the micro triple arm base, the way it extends out from the tree, technically you get a little bit of extra reach just because of the way the base is set up.
Gotcha.
But for saddle hunting, like you don't necessarily need all that, right? Like that 3-section arm, whether you're going with the satellite or the micro triple, is really perfect to be able to go from one side of the tree to the other, one side of your body to the other as you're filming. And really, like the difference between the two, we get that question a lot, like which one should I go with?
Mm-hmm.
I think the biggest factor is going to be your camera weight.
Right.
So like the satellite arm, that one's rated to hold up to 5 pounds, whereas the micro triple, that one's rated to hold up to 10 pounds of camera. So, so if you're looking for something, if you're running a lightweight setup, whether that's a smaller handy cam or your cell phone, and you want the lightest thing possible, that's where the satellite arm comes in. But the other benefit of the micro triple for my scenario, for example, the camera I run would run on the satellite arm, no problem. But with the micro triple, that's what I run when I saddle hunt. And the fun thing is I can use that exact same base for when I'm up in the tree stand and want to use my stiff arm, which is a little bit longer. So
Right.
that's one benefit of the micro triple is it uses our standard base and shoulder system where they're all cross compatible. It also, that same arm would then work with our fixed blind bases. So for anybody that's hunting out of like a wooden box blind, for example, our fixed blind bases, you can use that arm with that and run that in your box blind. The satellite arm platform, it's really built from the ground up just for saddle hunting, and it uses a little bit different down post and up post system.
Okay.
So it's not universal for all our other bases. It's more of a kind of a thing on its own.
And I found that the shoulder attachment, so the part that goes into the tree that the arm attaches to, it's literally like a shoulder joint of a person, like the way that it's designed, and you can swivel and move it around and get it set at like so perfect to where you need, and then it's got a level on it, so you know that whether you're going to be level or not. So yeah, that's very
Yeah,
cool. And
it's
then this,
fun.
sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's fun when your base doesn't limit you with where you can put your arm. Like some of the arms we've used in the past, like sometimes especially if you're hunting like a big oak tree, for example, on the edge of a food plot or something, um, sometimes you want to actually mount it to a limb that might come off the tree at a 45-degree angle. Whereas a
Yeah.
lot of those base systems, it's really hard to do that. Where with ours, you can just strap that on at any angle, and then with that ball joint, like you said, you can just rotate around wherever.
Yeah, and that's what I found with the first one that I had from a different company, was that if your base wasn't set right, the whole thing was a mess, right? So you literally had to, you know, struggle with it till you got it set right. Whereas this one, you could literally set up the base in any direction, and
Right.
then whatever is going to work. Like you said, if you've got a stronger part that's on an angle, that's not a problem. You just attach that and then adjust the shoulder to suit it best. And then the stiff arm Ghost, that looks like it's got a lot of material cut away. Is that like a lighter
Yeah.
version?
So yeah, like we kind of talked on some of our saddle hunting options. That'd be like your satellite and your micro triple. Then once you go to the more of the tree stand side of things, you're going to want a little extra reach. That's where like the stiff arm Ghost or the full size triple would come in. The fun thing with the stiff arm Ghost is it actually replaced our carbon arm. So we're
Oh,
actually one
okay.
of the first people to ever come out with a carbon camera arm. But the only challenge with the carbon is you still have to have some type of a joint system that's going to be sturdy and fluid.
Right.
So what you end up having to do is still have an aluminum insert inside the carbon, which adds more weight back in. So
Right.
what we found is we with the stiff arm Ghost that we ended up engineering, we were able to actually make it a little bit lighter than the carbon,
Oh,
um,
wow.
but still being aluminum. So we basically, if you know, for those just listening, it basically looks like similar to like an M-lock rail on an AR, where it's got
Yeah.
some material that's been removed. It's kind of got a cool look, and it's lighter and longer than a regular stiff arm. So for the guys that want that little bit extra length over the stiff arm and want to, you know, cut some weight as much as possible, that's kind of where that stiff arm Ghost can come in.
It's almost like a skeletonized version
Right.
where it's
Yep.
got a bunch cut away. Is there
Yep.
one that tends to be that people lean to? I mean, everybody's different with what they want, and people can get super specific with different setups. But is there one that kind of holds out as the best seller, or is it kind of a mixed bag?
Yeah. I would say lately it actually is our baton alarm that's become one of our best sellers just
Okay.
because of the market reach that it has and more of that entry level side. Prior to that, the stiff arm was by far and away our best seller,
Okay.
because that's going to be, you know, your main arm for guys that are tree stand hunting. And then right after that, our satellite arm has been huge. Like saddle hunting over the last 5 years has
Blown up.
really took off. So
Yeah.
the satellite arm has been definitely one of our bigger sellers recently too.
Yeah, I just started saddle hunting this year, and it's
Do you
I
like it?
lo- I love it. It takes a minute to get used to because you're like, I'm only, this tiny rope is holding me up, right? And you're on this
Right.
little platform, but you have so much real, like you have basically the entire access to the entire tree. Whereas before, when you're on a hang-on stand or a ladder stand, you're limited to your angles and where you
Right.
can go. Whereas, I even brought in, like I was talking to Tom Lalonde from XOP. That's the saddle that I use from XOP, and he was saying, some guys will do a hybrid where they'll bring in a smaller hang-on stand, but still use the saddle. And I said, well, it's funny because I took one of their larger stands out and tried to use that with the saddle, and I was like, you know what? Even with the extra real estate that I thought I wanted, I still missed the small platform because I
All
liked
right.
being able to
Yeah.
move, put my feet into the side cutouts, and like just
Yep.
use. So these arms kind of go hand in hand with a setup like that, which is really cool that you can kind of mix and match,
Yep.
and then
For
we'll get
sure.
it. What's the outreach arm? Is that to kind of get away from brush and different tree limbs
So
and stuff? Or
the outreach, kind of the idea behind that was to be able to capture kind of a unique second angle, um, you know, angle that you'd not get otherwise. There's a lot of, you know, shorter GoPro type clamp mounts, which we offer, like kind of a shorter gooseneck mount that's really easy to carry. You can clamp it onto your stand or, you know, onto a strap or onto, you know, a branch on your tree. But with the outreach arm, it can actually extend 6 feet out away from you. And you put your GoPro on there, and it makes a really, really cool angle because you're so far away. And then
right,
you're like, you got this really cool wide view, and you can capture like everything that's happening in the tree stand. A lot of guys that, you know, most of us just self film, but two, also for the guys that, you know, if there's one guy filming, one guy hunting, it can capture all that like interaction between the two,
mm,
and capture, you know, not just the hunter seeing what he's doing, but also what all that goes into the whole filming side of trying to capture all that. So whether
oh, that's
you're
cool.
self filming or someone else is filming you, it just makes a really cool angle. Then you can use it as a, you know, a selfie stick and different things like that as well.
That's cool. Yeah, it does stick out pretty far. That's wicked. Is it adjustable or is it all?
Yeah, it's adjustable. So I mean, the shortest you can go, I don't remember that off the top of my head, but you can go decently short with it, and then it can adjust out to six
Oh, yeah,
feet
yeah,
depending
yeah.
upon how far. The other thing we did with that is you can, for guys that hunt private property, you can also preset bases with it as well, similar to what we could do with our camera arms, where guys that are hunting private land, you can preset your tree bases in each tree stand set. That way, it's a lot easier to set up once you get out there in the woods hunting. And you can do the same thing with that outreach arm. You can put kind of those tree screws in, and then all you have to do is bring your arm with you if you're going back to somewhere, the same spots on a regular basis.
Right. Yeah, it's almost like one leg of a camera tripod.
Right.
That's
Yep.
cool. Just want to take a quick break to talk to you about a couple of things that I've been using that I think might benefit you. One is this Numa Outdoors gear. This is in their Kaza OV pattern, which is great whitetail pattern when you're up in a tree in the fall and late season. They also have a Kaza pattern which has more green in it, which is good for spring through to the fall. Numa has given me a code to give to you of Caribou Media 20, which will save you 20% at checkout. Another product here that I've been using for years now is the Bulldog targets. This is a Canadian made target. They're made in Manitoba. They have a lifetime warranty. I've used that warranty twice now on a couple of my larger targets that are outside. It's very simple, very easy. These targets are 2-finger removal every single time, which is incredible. Field point only target. Bulldog's been gracious enough to give me a 20% discount code to give to you at checkout. Use code BD20-Caribou-Media. That'll save you 20% on these awesome targets. Now back to the show. And then the Rex arm rail, is that more for like a saddle? Sorry, not a saddle, a ground blind kind of situation?
You could definitely use it for that application. It's more kind of, we got the idea more specifically for
Oh, I
guys
see
that are
here.
hunting out of a climber stand.
Yeah, that makes more
So
sense.
there's two scenarios where it works out really well. One, like a summit climber, it works great for. It clamps on, you can mount it to the front or the side a little bit over to the left or right. And the fun thing with that is then you don't have to carry, for one, you don't need as long of an arm. For two, you don't have to have a base that mounts to the tree. You don't have to strap anything to the tree because it's mounting out in front of you on your front rail on your climber stand. Then the other way you can use it is if you do have a ladder stand that's got a really sturdy rail. Now, there's not a whole lot of ladder stands that have sturdy shooting rails, and a lot of them are at goofy angles. A lot of us, though, that have like Millennium stands, those have a really sturdy rail. And then that setup works perfect for that. So we sell it with the Rex arm by default, but I also know a lot of guys, if you're not running a super heavy camera, you can even use our micro triple arm in there as well.
Oh, cool.
If you want a little bit of extra reach.
That's awesome. All right, let's get into some of the accessories here. So I alluded already that I have I've got the video head or the fluid head, and then I also have the actually no, I think I went with the mini video head. There's a lot.
Okay.
There's a lot of different ones to choose from. There's different sizes, but I also went with the cell phone attachment head, which is very cool. What would be the kind of, I see there's like 3 or 4 different video head options. What would be the differences with those?
Yeah. So like the mini head is, it's our lightest weight head. It's actually like all plastic body, so it's super lightweight. It's fairly smooth. If you're more, want to get that next step up, we got some more aluminum body ones. Kind of that next step up would be like our Video Head S. It's going to be able to handle a little bit more weight. It's going to be a little bit smoother just because it's an aluminum body. And then from there, we're actually bringing back one that's in between kind of that Video Head S and our Fluid Head. Our Video Head S works great for handy cams, cell phones, and mirrorless cameras or DSLRs with shorter lenses. Where the Video Head S is going to struggle is if you put, a really big lens on there that's front heavy.
Okay.
If you keep everything really well balanced, it does fine. But if you do something super front heavy, it's just going to want to tip down on you if you start going down with it. That's where the fluid head comes in. So our fluid head is a really, really big, super, super smooth head. That's more on the line of the pro level. type head, which that thing can handle, a cinema camera, in any larger, camcorder, or for guys that are running a mirrorless with 300 millimeter lens or something.
Gotcha. And then you've also got a tripod, your own specific tripod, a POV stake for the action cameras that'll go right into the ground. Those are cool. And then you've also got other sister companies. Like I had like the Tree Thrasher.
Yeah.
I love this thing. So
yeah, I've really enjoyed using the Tree Thrasher, and I actually ended up calling this last year. I was sitting in one of my favorite bow sets, kind of in the woods on the perimeter of the swamp, and I had a coyote come in. I actually called the coyote in with the Tree Thrasher because I was just curious.
Yeah.
So for those of you who aren't familiar with the Tree Thrasher, basically it's a deer call. Looks similar, it's kind of like a little accordion that you can go in and out with, and it makes the sound of rustling leaves. So the whole concept behind that is, whenever you're trying to call in a deer, they're gonna be listening for things to make sure that it's actually a deer there, that it sounds real and authentic. So if you just throw out a buck grunt, if it's a mature buck that's been called at before, it helps to add another level, another layer of realism by also throwing in some sounds like that, deer would be walking. There's like my first archery buck, for example. The only reason that guy came in is because he actually heard my footsteps as I was walking to the stand. I barely got up in the stand and he come walking in. And, oftentimes deer are just so curious. If you start making that noise, like, what's going on there? They want to come check it out. And also one of our other guys here, there was one scenario where he called in a buck like 3 different times with a grunt tube, but he kept hanging up at like 80 yards. He just couldn't get the guy to commit and come in closer. And I don't know where he got this idea, but he had an apple with him and he threw it across the ground and went, and that buck came in on a beeline. So it's like, it's those type of scenarios where it's like, why don't we have a call that you can make that sound? Like there's rustling leaves, like a deer's walking through the woods, like he's making a scrape. With the teeth on there, you can also make the sound like a buck's making a rub as well. So a lot of different fun ways you can use it. I like to use it in conjunction with my grunt tube, but sometimes I'll just run it blind too. It's got a little branch break thing on there too. So if you're trying to simulate, a buck making a scrape and a rub and really tearing up the ground and branches.
Yeah, if it's a sound that they're used to hearing, then it's helpful. If it's a sound that they've not heard before, or maybe is not something that they normally hear, then they're going to be running in the other direction. So yeah, it's very cool. Very cool idea. Whoever came up with that, very smart. You also got Wyndscents, which are like electronic scent vaporizers. I got to use the e-thermal enticer, which is like they have scent pads. It's like a mini rechargeable heater that you put these scent pads onto, and the heater element heats up the scent pads and then creates the scent. It's the first time I'd ever used anything like that before. I think they're great. I don't know what are they. Would you say they're more popular in the whitetail market, or is it kind of everywhere?
Yeah, I'd definitely say it's, more popular in the whitetail side, just because, part of it's just the sheer volume of whitetail hunters, it's the most popular thing to hunt is part of it too. But we also offer scents for bear hunting, for coyote hunting, for elk hunting. I haven't had a chance to use the e-thermal unit up on the bear woods yet, as I haven't been bear hunting since we launched that particular product, but I used our Wyndscent 2.0 on the Saskatchewan trip that I alluded to earlier, and I was running our donut shop scent.
It's a good one.
The bears in that area are used to getting baited in with sweet smelling stuff, so that was really effective. I had a couple bears come right up to it, put their nose on it, and that was really cool.
Yeah, they It definitely seemed to work. So I'm going to be taking mine into the woods again this spring for spring bear. But yeah, the donut. I think when I was testing it in my barn here where I do all the videos, I had that one on. I was like, oh my god, that's it
Yeah.
smells like sugar in the air. Yeah, they're definitely
Mm-hmm.
going to definitely come running in for that. And
Mm-hmm.
then you guys also have Slayer hunting blinds.
Yes, yeah. So that's actually a little bit more of a recent addition for us. We actually acquired that company a couple of years ago. And the fun thing with the Slayer blinds is we were able to incorporate a lot of our between our final rest shooting systems, which we haven't talked about yet, but we can talk about that a little bit. And the fourth arrow camera arms, we're able to kind of incorporate bases into the blind itself so that, for example, my setup in that Slayer blind, I can use the same base for my camera arm or my shooting rest system. And then there's bases just you can mount right to the wall. And then I have that camera arm coming off there. That way I don't have to run a tripod in the blind to film with. It just makes life a lot easier. So the Slayer blinds are super cool. They're designed to be modular. So for a lot of guys that don't have, a tractor or equipment to pick up a blind and move it or elevate it, you can actually carry the Slayer blind in panel by panel and assemble it wherever you want. Even for guys that they might have a tractor, but they might want that blind on the edge of the swamp somewhere where it's too wet to get equipment in there.
Right.
And you can even carry a tower in there, set up a tower, and assemble the blind on a tower wherever you want. It's got a one-piece plastic roof, so you're not going to get leaks. The outside, the shell is made of. It's got aluminum frame, which is not going to rust, and then the outer, shell is made of smart side LP, which is if you put it on your house, it's rated to last like 50 years or whatever. Like it's a composite material
Wow.
that lasts a long time. So the whole idea behind it is modular. It's going to last you a lifetime. You're not going to get a bunch of critters and nastiness in there like a lot of blinds that aren't super well sealed do. It's just a really nice high quality blind, super quiet. The whole interior is carpeted. So I've been hunting. Well, last year I had one hunt out of it. I loved it. It was great.
And it comes with different size. Like you can have no tower, you can have smaller legs, and then something that you might need a ladder for, and then something even larger. So there's lots of customizing that you can do as well.
Yeah, one of the fun things with that too is we released a trailer version as well. So for the guys that want to be able to move their blind from one cornfield to another, or maybe they wanted a food plot one day and they want to bring it to another spot another day, you can kind of move it around pretty easily.
That's a good idea. And then you were saying final rest shooting systems. What are those all about?
Yeah, so the final rest side, kind of the whole story behind where that started. Our owner, who is super involved with the whole R&D and all that side of things, he was taking his dad out and he was filming his dad. His dad was getting up there in years and he was hunting with a crossbow. He had a camera arm set up in the blind coming off the wall, and his dad said to him, "Hey, can I rest my crossbow on that camera arm setup?" And it was one of those light bulb moments, like,
you should be able to.
that could stabilize a camera. Why don't we take those same concepts and principles and apply that to a gun? So all of our items, our arms and all this other stuff is cross compatible between both brands. So on the final rest side, we have options for your box blinds, for manufactured or for wooden box blinds. We've got options for just tripods. If you want a really lightweight, we've got carbon tripods, lightweight aluminum tripods. We got ball heads. We got gun clamp style rests. We got a lot of different style rests or ball heads that can mount to your M-LOK or Picatinny rail. So really have the full spectrum of shooting rest products. And really the things that make us unique, like nobody else has, like those cool blind setups you can have in there. And we can also use those same setups in a ladder stand. So there's a lot of different fun options you can do. And, if you're a person that films like I do, I can use those, components, back and forth between the two brands.
Yeah, that's awesome. There's so many different, like your camera arms. You've got a ton of different versions of like a gripping system, whether it's like a double, almost like a sled that you would put your rifle in when trying to sight things in, and with as little movement as possible, and everything down to like just a single gripping arm. That's a great idea. Awesome. Cool. Do you want to tell us about that bear hunt in Saskatchewan? I'm dying to hear about that.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so we in so the let's see here. That was 2019, I think. So I had only been with the company a year, and I got invited to go up there. We actually went up there with Nick and Tom from Become One. We invited them up to hunt with us. They have a show on the Sportsman's Channel, so it was fun to have them around. And then some of us went up there. Let's see, how many of us in this group? I think it was like 4 total of us from Fourth Arrow went up there. And that was my first experience bear hunting at all. And where I'm from in Michigan, I'm not used to being around bears. So it was fun to like just watch bears, and
Mm-hmm.
and the fishing was fantastic too.
Oh, I bet. Yeah, I
Awesome
bet.
fishing.
You got
So
huge deer out there too.
yeah. So anyway, we were way up north there in Saskatchewan, and the week went overall pretty well. Rob got his first night. Mark ended up shooting a top 20 Saskatchewan bear.
Wow.
Massive bear, super big skull. They actually had to use a grizzly bear form for it because they didn't have any black bear ones that were big enough. It was a
Wow.
lot. So I got to help drag that out. That was fun. So I actually didn't kill mine until the very last morning. We were supposed to leave that day. So I had this little narrow window. Prior to that, I'd seen some decent bears, but nothing that I really wanted to shoot. Like they were just right on the edge.
Yeah, yeah.
The third day, I saw a really big old fat sow, but she had like 3 or 4 cubs with her, and I wasn't gonna do that. So then the next day, the second to last day, I saw that same small bear that I'd seen like every day that week. And then finally, the last morning, I went to a different spot. It's actually a spot where 2 of the other guys had killed bears at already. So it was a pretty good, consistent site.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, I finally killed my first bear, and he didn't go. I don't know. He may have ran 40 yards and piled up.
Oh yeah.
So there was all in. There was 6 of us that shot bears with our bow that week, and not one of them made it over 80 yards, which was pretty cool.
Wow.
If you one of them died like 2 feet from where it was shot. It was crazy. So it was a fun week of bow hunting and fishing. I definitely will want to be doing that again for sure.
Yeah, I bet. Was it mechanical? Most the broadheads people
Yeah, I
using?
think everybody was shooting mechanical. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think most of us were shooting at that point in time. I think most of us used Rage. I used a Rage hypodermic on mine, and then a couple of the other guys were shooting Rocky, which is it's another Paradigm brand, so it's very similar to a Rage style mechanical. I think the
Okay.
Rocky they were shooting had like just a 2 small blades that were fixed, and then a mechanical
Okay.
similar to like a Rage style.
Gotcha. So you kind of had it's like a hybrid, almost like
Right. Yep.
the best of both worlds. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. They're tricky because they've got such a between their hide and the fat layers. It's you're not going to get a whole lot of blood usually unless
Right.
you can really open them up. Like I think the first bear I ever shot was with a 3-blade single bevel, and shot it too high and
Mm.
never found it.
Oh.
Didn't bleed at all. Arrow was snapped off inside of it. It kept running, and I was like, just go down, just go down. That sounds
Oh.
really, really far. Just go down. It's
Oh.
anyway. But after that, I started using mechanicals, and it's been a whole lot better.
Better.
So
Yeah.
yeah, you get
Yeah, the biggest thing with those things, like the thing I was most paranoid about was hitting them in the shoulder. because it's not going through.
No, and I think that's what happened with me the first time is that he was kind of quartering away, and I think it went in and hit the offside shoulder. So
Okay.
it like a dead stop, right? It's not going any further. So
Yeah.
that's awesome. Did they measure the skull on that bear?
Mark's bear
Just curious.
was, let me just look that up. So the funny thing is, it would have scored. So he actually shot it with a crossbow, but the only reason he was using a crossbow is because we were testing some final rest stuff out of the tree stand. And he was actually kind of upset afterwards because it would have been way cooler if he had shot that record bear with his compound.
Yeah.
But still, it was super cool. It was his grandpa's crossbow.
Oh, that's nice.
Which was special to him too. So, a little redeeming factor there. But how big was that?
Yeah, they can get really big. Like I go up about 3 hours north of where I am for spring and fall bear, and there's been some, the owner there usually shoots one every year, and I remember one year we were going, and two of the guys had shot one the same night, so we had this wagon set up to the ATV or trailer set up to the ATV, and we're driving along, and I jumped in the back of the trailer with one of the other guys. So we're going along. We stop. We get the first bear, lug it inside. We jump back in, and we're going along. And like the trail is not like super flat, right? It's kind of up and all over the place. And I could see. So we all have our headlamps on, and I could see trouble before it happened. Like there was a huge kind of root coming down from the tree, and the ATV went around it, but the trailer kind of swung out a bit, and I was like, oh no. And we hit the thing, and up and over we go. Fell out of the trailer. The bear fell on top of me. Headlamp flew. Like it was just insane. And then we finally get ourselves back together. We go back and find the second bear, and I think it ended up weighing 350 pounds or close to 400. Like it took all of us.
Yep.
I remember I had to literally like reach inside of it and grab on like to a rib to get some sort of to really help get it up. And it was just like I joked about it later, which I had no business joking about it because I didn't shoot one that week. But I said to Mike, the guy that owns the property, I'm like, Mike, we could fit your bear inside of the other bear.
Yeah, dude. Seeing it walking up on a big bear in person is just super cool. Like Mark's bear is just like a hog. He was so stocky. Yeah, his ended up being just barely under 22-inch skull. It was like 21 and 15/16.
Wow.
So it was pretty big. Yeah, when you put his skull next to like my bear skull that I got, it's like, is that a baby bear next to a dead?
Shut up.
Yeah, exactly.
Is there anything else you wanted to cover while we're on here?
Yeah, I guess probably the only other thing I'd say on the Fourth Arrow side, couple just smaller products that we didn't cover a whole lot. With turkey season upcoming here, one of actually my favorite products for turkey hunting and filming is our monopod and steak combo.
Okay.
Which is really fun. So like for me personally, the way I prefer to turkey hunt, I'm usually more running and gunning on the ground, just moving around. And I'm usually self-filming. So if I can get away with not carrying a tripod, I will. So
yep.
With the monopod steak, basically it's our standard Fourth Arrow monopod that we sell in a steak accessory that you can screw into the bottom. And it's like a 6-inch steak that you can just stake right into the ground. It's got a nice little foot plate on the top to get your boot on it. And that for me worked awesome. If you're anywhere where you have, the right soil type to use it, it's great. If you're where it's super rocky, it's super hard and dry, that might be a challenge for you.
Yeah.
But where I'm at, it works awesome. Especially most of the time I'm hunting either in the woods or on the edge of the woods anyway, on the edge of a field. And that, terrain's perfect for it. I can just stake it in the ground and then, have my video head there to control my camera from there. And for me, that's been awesome. The other thing that we do have for the guys that are out of the pop-up blind. So for the guys that usually are, take their kids out or just running, bow hunting them where they want to, be in a pop-up blind, our Rex arm is our short little 10-inch arm that can go right on any one of our tripods. The cool thing with that is, again, one of the challenges behind tripods, if you're in a blind, it's hard to move it around because you got a chair in there and you're like trying to move it. So if your turkey comes out and it's in the blind spot, the little corner of the blind where you can't see it from your camera angle,
right?
If you're trying to move your tripod, it can get a little bit annoying. Whereas the Rex arm allows you to move that camera all in. You can get 20 inches of motion from one side to the other. That way you can move your camera without having to move your whole tripod.
Cool.
So that's another kind of fun accessory for the guys that are more, hunting out of a pop-up blind.
There you go. It's hard to visualize all this stuff, so make sure you head over to fourtharrowcameraarms.com. Yeah, so besides the website, where else can people find out about you guys?
Yeah, for sure. Fourtharrow.com actually has links to all of our other brands that we kind of talked about. If you do want to check out some of our stuff we do with some of our hunt videos and stuff, you can check out Take Aim Adventures at takeaimadventures.com or on our YouTube channel. We have all the episodes that we released this last year on the Pursuit channel are up on YouTube now, so you can check those out.
Awesome. Wicked. Well, thank you for jumping on here this afternoon. I appreciate it. You're welcome back anytime. And as
Thanks
new things come out, let me know, and we'll be sure to talk about those too.
Yeah, sounds good.
All right. Thanks. Talk to you later.